There are days when you wake up and you're already defeated. You haven't said a word, but inside you're screaming. Everything feels heavy, your routine, your thoughts, your expectations. You drag yourself through the day, you fake it, you breathe. But inside, you're burning out, drained, and you don't even know why. How much longer are you going to keep living like this, giving your energy away without even realizing it? There's a kind of fatigue that no amount of sleep can fix. The kind that burns you from the inside out, that makes you live with your soul on autopilot. You keep going, pretending, surviving, but the truth is, you're running on empty. Because no one ever taught you how to protect your energy. No one warned you about the cost of surrendering to what you can't control, of saying yes when you should have been shouting, enough. But the Stoics knew, and today, I'm going to share with you the 12 most brutal rules of Stoicism to protect your energy, to reconnect with yourself, and stop being a slave to silent exhaustion. If you feel like something in you is dying a little more each day and you don't know why, this video is for you. It's time to wake up. It's time to take back control. But before we begin, let me tell you Vega's story. Because sometimes you don't explode. You just slowly burn out without anyone noticing. Vega was 34 and living a life that, on Instagram, looked perfect. Freelance designer, traveling, a stable relationship, candlelit dinners, and a smile trained for every occasion. But behind every story she posted, there was a silent truth. She was exhausted. Not from work, not from early mornings. She was exhausted from herself. From not knowing when exactly she had stopped feeling alive. It started with small things. A song she used to love that now annoyed her. A laugh that sounded empty, even to her. The sense that everything she did took effort. She lived surrounded by noise but couldn't hear a thing. She didn't sleep badly, but every morning she woke up feeling like she'd been fighting the world in her dreams. One afternoon, in the middle of a Zoom meeting, Vega caught a glimpse of her reflection on the screen. She wasn't sad or angry. She was disconnected. Like her body was still running, but her soul had taken a vacation without notice. She closed the laptop without a word, put on her sneakers, grabbed her car keys, and left. She didn't know where she was going. She just knew she couldn't keep pretending nothing was wrong. She drove without thinking and ended up in the village where her grandmother lived. In a half-forgotten house tucked between trees and dirt roads. She hadn't packed a bag, just a coat, her laptop, and that unbearable feeling of emptiness. There was no Wi-Fi there, no Netflix, no messages, just silence. And that silence was the first thing that hurt. 2 days went by where she did absolutely nothing, literally nothing. She walked through the fields without direction. She cried for no reason. She wrote without a plan. And on the third day, while rummaging through one of her grandmother's old boxes, she found a notebook filled with underlined pages and Latin phrases translated by hand. She thought it was a religious diary or some church notes. But no. It was Marcus Aurelius. Her grandmother had copied quotes from the book, Meditations. Vega read one at random. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. That quote hit her like a slap. Because in that moment she realized something brutal. She wasn't broken, she was drained. And the worst part was, there was no one to blame, because she had let it happen. She had given her energy away to guilt, to expectations, to the fear of letting people down. Over the next few days, Vega became a student of silence. She had no plan, no schedule, no goals, just instinct. She got up when her body asked for it, opened the windows and let the freezing morning air remind her she was still alive. In the afternoons, she went for walks with no music, empty pockets, and a head full of questions. At first, the silence was uncomfortable, like it was throwing back at her everything she had avoided hearing for years. But it was in that same silence that she started reading slowly, with an attention she hadn't felt in a long time. Marcus Aurelius stayed with her, his words harsh but true. The soul becomes stronger when it stops running away. Vega read a page, closed the book, and just watched the leaves on the trees move as if they were answering her. Then she found Seneca, warning that nothing is ours, except time. That quote hit her hard, because yes, she had given her time to everything but herself. And finally came Epictetus, the slave-turned-philosopher, who taught her, "We are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by what we think about what happens to us." She started writing in a notebook with a broken cover, not pretty phrases, just the things that hurt. She asked herself uncomfortable questions. When did I stop doing things just for pleasure? When was the last time I felt proud without needing someone else to validate me? Why am I so afraid to say no? And as she wrote, something inside her began to stir. Like her soul, numb for years, was slowly stretching. Like waking up from a sleep that lasted too long. Even her body noticed. She slept better, ate without anxiety, took deep breaths. Sometimes she cried without knowing why. Other times she laughed at something small, like watching a squirrel cross the road or finding a dandelion in the grass. It wasn't happiness, it was presence. And for someone who had spent so long disconnected, that was more than enough. Vega didn't come back as a brand new woman. She came back as a woman who had stopped forgetting herself. She no longer felt broken or empty, just human. But now a human who knew her limits, who understood that energy isn't infinite, and that protecting it is, at its core, an act of self-respect. Because she understood something no one had told her before. It's not about becoming stronger. It's about stopping the drain from fighting battles that were never yours to begin with. And you, how many battles are you fighting that make no sense? Before we go on, if this content is bringing you value, consider subscribing and becoming an exclusive member to access unique perks. And tell us in the comments, what part of your energy are you going to start protecting like it's sacred? What boundary will you set to come back to yourself? Or simply write, "I, Stoic." Starting today, I stop giving away my peace and begin to live with intention. That'll be your commitment to yourself. 1. Don't give your power away. Imagine you've got a battery in your chest, like Iron Man. That power source doesn't just keep you standing. It fuels your creativity, your clear thinking, your good mood, your drive to move forward. It's your core, your spark. Every time you stay calm, every time you say no when you mean no, every time you give yourself a moment just for you, that battery recharges. You feel strong, awake, sharp. But every time you betray yourself, that battery starts to blink red. Did you reply to your ex just to end things on good terms? Beep, -5%. Did you go to that dinner you didn't want to attend just to look good in front of people you don't even like? Beep, -10. Did you listen, yet again, to someone's endless complaints when they never change a thing, and still replied with, "Well, everything happens for a reason"? Beep, -8. My friend, you're not invincible, and that core you've got inside doesn't regenerate on its own. If you want to master your energy, and stop dragging yourself through the days like a soulless robot, you need to understand this. Every act of self-abandonment disconnects you from your source. And that's exactly the silent poison this video wants to help you eliminate. Marcus Aurelius wrote it centuries ago. If something external hurts you, it's not the thing itself that disturbs you, but your judgment of it. And you have the power to change that judgment. And he didn't say this from a place of comfort. As emperor of the greatest empire in the world, he was surrounded by battles, betrayals, and endless responsibilities. But did he let that shake him? Of course not. Picture this. His chariot horse refuses to move. The messenger is late with news from the Senate, and on top of that, his favorite fruit didn't arrive at the market that day. Another emperor would have exploded. But him? Instead of yelling, he unrolls his scroll, dips the quill, and writes, "Today I've faced setbacks, but my soul remains free." Then he turns around, pats the horse, and keeps walking like it's nothing. And you can do the same. But sure, you don't live in Rome. You live in a world where you have to reply to messages, answer calls, be polite, endure passive-aggressive comments, and pretend nothing bothers you. Imagine this. You get home exhausted, craving silence, and right then your phone rings. It's that person who only ever calls to dump their anxiety, their complaints, their negativity, And you, out of obligation, pick up. An hour later, you hang up with a knot in your stomach, and the worst part? You didn't help at all, you just absorbed it. You became an emotional trash bin with a forced smile. Do that often enough and you'll understand why you're fading without knowing why. So what should you do? First, identify your leaks. Pay attention to how you feel after certain interactions. If you always end up more drained than before, that's a sign. Second, and psychologist Maria Esclapes puts this perfectly, stop saying yes just because you're afraid of not being liked. She explains that the automatic yes doesn't come from desire. It comes from fear of rejection. And living from that fear means giving your core away to anyone who asks. You're letting them treat your Iron Man battery like it's a public outlet. It's not about being selfish. It's about being fair with yourself. Understanding that you can't light your own path if you're constantly charging others. Your energy is the most valuable thing you have, and it doesn't renew magically. It needs boundaries, it needs choices, and most of all, it needs you. So tell me, how much energy are you losing just because you're afraid to make others uncomfortable? Because if you don't learn to protect your peace, no one else will do it for you. And mastering your energy, like a true Stoic, starts with taking back that core you've been giving away piece by piece. 2. Shut the door to the noise. Have you ever finished the day completely drained and have no idea why? You didn't run a marathon, didn't have a dramatic argument, didn't save the world. And yet, your head feels like someone vacuumed it clean. It's hard to think, you get irritated easily, and you can't go 5 minutes without checking your phone. My friend, what's draining you isn't physical effort. It's the constant bombardment. It's that background noise that never shuts up. Your mind is like a castle. But lately, you've left the door wide open. And the worst part? You don't even know who's walked in. There's a crowd of snake oil salesmen yelling contradictory advice, a group of influencers dancing in the throne room, and in the kitchen, some commentator is arguing about politics with a fake Twitter account. And you? You're trying to study, work, or just breathe. If you don't put a doorman at that entrance, anyone can come in and rearrange your furniture. And then you wonder why you feel so tired when you haven't even done anything. Stoicism makes it clear. Your mind is a sanctuary, and whatever you let in shapes it. Seneca once wrote, "No wind is favorable to the one who doesn't know to which port he is sailing." And I'll add something else. There's no energy for the one who doesn't know where their attention is going. A true Stoic doesn't get swept away by everything that makes noise, vibrates, or shines. They choose what deserves space in their mind and let the rest pass by in silence. I get it. It's happened to me too. Once I was studying for a course I really cared about, one of those courses you know can open new doors if you make the most of it. I had everything ready, coffee, laptop, notes. I started focused, motivated, and then ping, a notification. I opened it. It was an Instagram story, then another, then a video of some guy dancing salsa with his dog. I laughed, of course, then a reel about some crazy theory that we're living in a simulation. And from there, into the comments section of a political debate that had nothing to do with me. When I finally closed everything and looked back at my notes, I went blank. Where was I? What was I reviewing? I didn't know anymore. And that kept happening, day after day. Want to know how I changed it? I listened to an episode of Ali Abdaal's podcast where he talked about fragmented attention as a silent epidemic. He said that every time we get interrupted, we don't just lose focus, we lose mental energy. The brain needs several minutes to get back into concentration mode, and every distraction is like kicking your own progress. So I started applying one of his tips, time blocking. And you wouldn't believe how much that changed everything. That's why I'm sharing it with you, because you can do it too. So the first thing you should try is what I call Stoic airplane mode. Sounds funny, but it works. It means spending at least 30 minutes a day with no screens, no conversations, just you with yourself. It could be walking, journaling, meditating, or simply staring out the window. At first, it'll feel strange, but then it becomes addictive. Because that's when your mind truly resets. And when you're working, organize your time into blocks. For example, from 10 to 11 I only answer emails, or from 4 to 5 I just write. No multitasking, no let me check this while I do that. Each task gets its space. Keep your phone far away, and if possible, turn it off. I know it's hard at first, but it's the only way your energy can actually go somewhere instead of bouncing around like a pinball. Because the truth is this, your energy doesn't just disappear, it gets diluted. It's not lost in big choices, but in 1,000 little things. In notifications, interruptions, and empty conversations. And when your mind has no focus, your soul has no strength. So close that door. Not forever, just long enough to make sure you're the one running your castle again. And now tell us in the comments, what's the first thing you're going to kick out of your castle to get your energy back? Your experience might inspire someone else who's stuck in that same chaos and noise. Because that's what this community is for too. Building a place where inner peace isn't a luxury, but a priority. 3. Your body speaks first. Have you ever really looked at the people around you? I mean really looked. Not at what they say, but how they walk, how they sit, how they enter a room. Some people move like the weight of the world is crushing them. Shuffling feet, hunched backs, shoulders collapsed. And then there are others. The ones who walk like their chest is full of sunlight, eyes sharp, posture that quietly says, I'm here, and I've got strength. Think that's just a coincidence? Not a chance. Those people don't have energy because they smile. They smile because they have energy. And almost always, it starts with the body. Seneca said it clearly. Health is the greatest good, so take care of your body. And he wasn't just talking about avoiding illness. He meant the energy you give off the moment you walk into a room. A tense body reflects an internal war. A calm, grounded one radiates control. A Stoic doesn't go through life looking like they're being dragged behind it. A Stoic walks like someone who knows who they are. Their body, their posture, their eyes say it all before they even speak. Picture this. It's Saturday. Your friends invite you to go for a walk in nature, have a picnic, unplug for a bit. And even though you know it'd be good for you, you say no. Why? You don't have the energy. Not to walk, not to chat, not to even pretend you're in the mood. So you stay home, lying on the couch, watching something you don't even care about. And the worst part? You still don't feel recharged. The day ends and you still feel flat, drained. Because rest alone isn't always the answer. Sometimes what you need isn't to slow down. It's to get moving. People think taking care of your body is all about looks or long-term health. But here's what they don't realize. The energy they feel, or don't feel, every single day, starts there. Mark Bowden, expert in communication and author of Winning Body Language, explains this perfectly. When you naturally take up space, you project confidence, even if you don't feel it yet. He calls it the feedback effect. Your body talks to your mind. Walk like someone strong and you'll start thinking like someone strong. And that changes everything. If you truly want to master your energy, here's exactly what you can do. First, next time you're stressed, off, or just low, stand in front of a mirror. Really see yourself. Ask, is this what I want to show the world? Then take a deep breath, lift your head, relax your shoulders, and position your body like you own the moment. Even if you don't feel it, do it anyway. Because that gesture, as small as it seems, rewires your mental state. And second, move. Yes, literally. Walk, exercise, jump around if you have to. Don't overthink it. You don't need 2-hour gym sessions. 20 minutes in the morning of brisk walking, push-ups, stretches, or dancing like a maniac in your room. Anything that gets your body moving. Because movement creates energy. And if you're waiting to feel energized before you move, you're already behind. Your body doesn't lie. If you're slouched, tense, and heavy, you're not going to feel powerful. If you want to radiate strong energy, start by moving like someone who has it. Even if you're not there yet, act like you are. Because sometimes, real change starts from the outside in. And the good news? The body, when you care for it, always responds. You just have to start listening to it. 4. Choose your table wisely. Picture this. You've planned a special dinner at your place. You've spent hours cooking something with care, with intention. You set the table, light some candles, everything's ready. But instead of inviting your favorite people, you let just anyone walk in. They sit down, eat without even saying thank you, criticize the food, leave crumbs everywhere. And by the time they're gone, you realize you didn't even taste your own dish. That's how a lot of people live every day, letting others sit at their emotional table, help themselves to their energy, tear it apart, and leave without giving anything back. Epictetus said it loud and clear. We should avoid friendship with the bad and enmity with the good. He wasn't talking about being judgmental, but about learning to choose who deserves your presence, your time, your conversation. A Stoic doesn't mix with just anyone. They know their energy is limited, and that giving it to the wrong people can cost them their balance. So, my friend, if you feel like you're running on empty by the end of the day, maybe you're not tired, maybe you're just surrounded by people who leave you with nothing. You know who understood this deeply? Nipsey Hussle. Maybe you've heard of him, maybe not. He was a rapper, an entrepreneur, and more than that, he was a man with a clear vision. He used to say that a lot of people want to ride your boat once it's sailing, but very few help you build it. And he was right, because when you're building something with effort, people show up who only want to enjoy the ride, but they weren't there during the storm. Surrounding yourself with people who lift you up isn't arrogance, it's energetic survival. I'm sure someone already came to your mind. That person who, every time you talk to them, leaves you drained, without fail. They come loaded with complaints, drama, and criticism about everything and everyone. They'll tell you all about their neighbor's problems, their co-workers' issues, their cousin's mess. But not once do they ask how you're doing. And you put up with it because you don't want to seem rude, or you feel sorry for them. Or maybe it's just become a habit, but there you are, serving up your energy like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet, without stopping to ask if there's anything left for you. So here's what you can do. First, do a Stoic social cleanse. No drama, no fights, just distance. You don't need to explain anything. Sometimes silence is the clearest signal that something's shifted. And if you can't cut them off completely because they're family or a coworker, then change the dynamic. Redirect the conversation. Steer it toward topics that give you something, that help you grow. You don't have to be their therapist. You don't have to carry their storm every single day. Then, make room for new people. Go find them. In a class, at a local event, in a club, online, wherever. There are people who listen with their soul, who speak with enthusiasm, who make you feel like sharing is worth it. Surround yourself with them. Because being around people who nourish you doesn't just give you energy, it reminds you what you deserve. And what about you, my friend? Has it ever happened to you feeling like someone helped themselves to your energy and gave nothing in return? If you feel like sharing, drop it in the comments. Sometimes telling our story helps others see what they haven't dared to admit yet. Because learning to choose your table is also an act of strength. 5. Without purpose, you burn out. Ah, my friend, be careful. You're burning out and you know it. Like a candle that's been lit for hours and is now starting to flicker. There's still some wick left, yes, but the wind is winning. And that wind isn't your job or your responsibilities. It's the lack of direction. Because when you don't know where you're going, every path wears you out. Look at your daily life. You've got a decent job, okay health, even a bit of free time. But inside, you feel empty. You just go through the motions, ticking the boxes, doing what's expected. But nothing really wakes you up hungry anymore. Just the alarm clock. And every time you hit snooze, it's not just sleep that's weighing you down. It's the absence of a why. You're letting life carry you along, and sure, it carries you, but without a compass. Not long ago, I listened to an episode of the podcast Tango and Plan, and they were talking about this exact thing. Two young guys, but with more Stoic wisdom than most adults I know. They said people don't get tired from doing too much. They get tired from doing everything without direction. You jump from task to task, commitment to commitment, like someone filling their plate with everything at the buffet. but none of it actually nourishes you. And the worst part? You start believing that being busy is the same as having purpose. Spoiler, it's not. Seneca made this crystal clear over 2,000 years ago. No wind is favorable to the ship that doesn't know to which port it's sailing. You can row all day, sail 1,000 miles, and still be just as lost. Because the exhaustion of not knowing what you're living for weighs more than any workday ever could. Now picture Seneca today, slumped on the couch, face lit up by the glow of a screen. 6 episodes deep into a show he doesn't even like. He sighs and says, "I just wasn't in the mood for anything else." Until suddenly, he gives himself a Stoic slap, turns off the TV, and starts writing about the brevity of life. Because the Stoics didn't make room for meaninglessness. They knew that without purpose, your energy just slips away. My friend, you don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start asking better questions. Let me offer you 3 Stoic questions you can ask yourself right now. 1. What excites me even when I'm tired? 2. What makes the world around me better when I do it? 3. What would I still do even if no one paid me? And with that, build your fire map. Write down the things that light you up, recharge you, make you feel useful. They don't have to be grand. They can be simple. Helping someone, learning something new, building something with your hands. But make sure they're in your week. And commit to them like they're medicine, because they are. An engine without a destination just makes noise. And you? Are you making noise? Or are you moving forward? Even if you don't have all the answers yet, start walking toward what fuels your inner fire. Because when purpose leads the way, energy shows up on its own. And you don't just withstand the wind, you use it to fly. 6. Routine is your sword. They say there was a Roman soldier who, even in times of peace, never stopped sharpening his sword at dawn. He did it every day, whether there was a battle or not. One of his comrades asked, "Why put in so much effort if there's no war in sight?" And he replied, "Because when the fight comes, I don't want to depend on luck. I want to depend on my preparation." My friend, your daily routine is that sword. You can't expect to have strength, clarity, or focus if every day is just improvised. If you don't prepare yourself before the battle of the outside world begins, then the world will decide for you how you're going to feel. Marcus Aurelius knew this too. Every morning, before doing anything else, he wrote in his journal. One of his most powerful lines reads, "At dawn, when you struggle to get out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have to go to work,' as a human being." He didn't do it because it was easy. He did it because he understood that routine is the soul's shield. And believe me, I've been a victim of the morning mess. I used to wake up late and the first thing I'd do was grab my phone, scroll through notifications, check the bad news, look at how poorly I slept according to some app. All of that before even saying a simple good morning to myself. Then came the coffee, the guilt for not waking up early, and a kind of mental fatigue that couldn't be blamed on sleep alone. Until one morning I said, enough. I decided my day would start with me, not with the world. I got up at the same time 3 days in a row, drank water, did a few stretches, nothing intense, no pressure. The difference? Massive. I no longer felt like my energy was some accident. It became a decision. On that path, I came across the writer Alvaro Sanchez. He doesn't talk about huge challenges, but about sustainable minimum habits, actions so small you can't fail, but that stack up like layers of energy. He says something powerful. Your energy doesn't come from the extraordinary. It comes from repeating the essential, even when you don't feel like it. So, are you ready to reclaim your energy? First, create a routine so simple you can't fail. Try something like I did, water and stretching. No excuses. Second, cut out the just 1 minute on social media. You already know that minute turns into an hour, and your energy slips away without saying goodbye. And third, write yourself a promise. Seriously, put it on paper. I don't start the day without checking in with myself. Stick it on your mirror or wherever you'll see it before the world finds you. Because in the end, It's not about having more time. It's about having fewer leaks. So think about it, my friend. Are you sharpening your sword each morning, or letting it rust away in excuses and chaos? 7. Change the air. Picture this. You're at home, sitting in front of your laptop, shoulders hunched, eyes blank. You close it. You pick up your phone. You unlock it, but just looking at the screen exhausts you. You put it down. You pick it up again. You put it down. Again. You feel like you can't take it anymore, but you don't know what to do. It's like you're inside an emotional washing machine. Everything's spinning, but nothing's moving forward. And you, stuck between four walls, waiting for something outside to change. But what you need isn't a new app, another to-do list, or more self-help content. What you need, my friend, is air. Air that moves through you, that shakes you, that reminds you you're still alive. There's a kind of energy you can't unlock by thinking, only by moving. And I'm not just saying that. I heard it recently on the podcast Vivir con Propósito by Pedro Vivar. He talked about something he calls vital movement, the idea that you can't think clearly when you're always in the same environment. Because it's not just what you're doing that matters, but where you're doing it from. Trying to make important decisions at the same desk where you binge-watch shows, work, eat, and get frustrated is like trying to write a new chapter with a pen that's already out of ink. What you need is a change of air, literally. Because when you reconnect with the real world, with trees, sidewalks, the sky, sounds that don't come from your headphones, something shifts inside you. And that's what I want you to try. You don't need big plans or distant trips. Just one thing: move. Take a Stoic walk every day. No headphones. Not for exercise, for mental hygiene. Go out without a destination. Walk and observe. No checking the time, no trying to get something out of it. Just walk. Once a week, switch up your environment. If you always study in your room, go to a cafe. If you work from home, try a library. If your home feels messy and overwhelming, spend an afternoon moving furniture, rearranging things, opening windows. Your external space shapes your inner landscape more than you think. And please, disconnect. But for real, my friend, not to watch another video or answer another message. Disconnect to hear yourself. Turn off your phone for an hour. Step out on the balcony. Look at the clouds. Pet your dog. Take a digital break with intention. Because sometimes, it's only in outer silence that you can hear what's going on inside. Seneca once wrote, "If you live according to nature, you'll never be poor. If you live according to opinion, you'll never be rich." Because sometimes what you need most isn't more knowledge or more productivity. It's a genuine connection with the natural world. Go outside, breathe, walk, listen. Sometimes the air you need most doesn't enter through the lungs, but through the soul. 8. What you don't process drains you. You might not have realized it yet, but everything you're holding in, everything you're pretending doesn't affect you, is draining your energy without you even noticing. That resentment you haven't let out, the sadness you hide, the frustration you mask with jokes, all of it is still there, making noise inside you like a leaky faucet dripping in the dark. And the worst part? You get used to the sound, until one day you realize you're at your limit. You're exhausted, but you don't know why. You wake up tired, you can't focus, and everything feels like too much. My friend, it's not that you don't have energy. It's that you're using it to carry invisible weight. Epictetus made it clear centuries ago. It's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them. But if you never revisit those opinions, if you don't face your emotions, if you just bury them under layers of productivity or distraction, they pile up. Like a locked room where you keep throwing boxes without checking what's inside. A Stoic doesn't get swept away by emotion, but they don't ignore it either. They observe it, understand it, and then transform it. That's real strength. Not suppressing how you feel, but moving through the pain without letting it destroy you. Has this happened to you? You have a conflict with someone close, and you decide to let it slide, not bring it up. You act like it doesn't matter, but a few days later, you're irritable, apathetic, not in the mood for anything. Your energy vanished, and you didn't even realize it. because you're holding onto emotional weight that hasn't been processed, and that drains you more than any 8-hour workday ever could. We were taught to be strong, but in the wrong way, as if strength meant hardening yourself, when in truth, it's being able to look inward and say, "This hurt me." Psychologist Patricia Ramirez, who shares a lot of powerful content on social media, says it best: "You're not tired from doing things. You're tired from endlessly thinking about what bothers you but never resolving it." And she's right. You can hit the gym, sleep 8 hours, eat clean, but if your mind is full of unresolved emotions, that energy won't show up. She offers 3 simple but effective tools: write, speak, and release. Want to try it? First, create a paper volcano. Take a sheet and write everything that's inside you, uncensored. Even if it hurts, even if it makes you feel ashamed, even if you think you shouldn't feel that way, then tear it up. Not because what you wrote doesn't matter, but because you don't need to carry it anymore. Second, identify your triggers. If every time you talk to that person you end up feeling worse, or if that one activity always leaves you emotionally drained, you've got a leak that needs attention. And third, talk to someone who won't try to fix you. Just listen. Sometimes that's all it takes to lift half the weight from your soul. My friend, if you're feeding your inner world with anger, pain, or silent wounds left unprocessed, your energy is going to take on that same tone. So don't settle for emotional survival. Process, release, and breathe. Because everything you hold in, one way or another, you end up paying for it with your peace. 9. Build your energy refuge. Sometimes, my friend, you don't need motivation, or another video, or more advice. What you really need is a place to come back to. A space, physical or symbolic, where your energy doesn't have to defend itself from anything. Where you don't have to perform, impress, explain, or respond. Where you can simply be and breathe. But, do you have that refuge? We're so busy putting out fires that we forget to build a place that keeps our inner flame alive. And no, I'm not talking about a trip to the Caribbean or a cabin in the mountains. I mean something much more real, much more accessible. A small ritual, a space, or a routine that brings you back to yourself when the world tries to pull you away. Have you ever stopped to think? What gives you clarity? The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius, in the middle of war, leadership, and personal tragedy, wrote in his journal to return to his center. Each sentence was a mental shelter. He once said, "If you're upset by something external, the pain isn't caused by the thing itself, but by your judgment of it. And that's something you can change." And how did he change that judgment? By coming back to himself, by returning to his journal, to his refuge. If you're not sure what your refuge is yet, let me offer you a few ideas. You don't need to follow them exactly, but they might help spark something. Let's start with something simple that most people never even try. Take a walk without headphones, no music, no voices telling you what to think, just you and the real world. It doesn't matter where you walk, because that's not the point. What matters is that you're stepping away from everything that isn't you. And if you feel like everything inside you is overflowing, let it out through your hands. Know what helps? Painting. Yes, like when we were kids. Get some tempera or watercolors, a sheet of paper, a cardboard box, even a stone from the park. You don't need to know how to draw. You don't need a tutorial, just smear, play. Mix colors without logic. Use brushes, your fingers, a cloth, whatever. Let your emotions spill out without going through your head. It doesn't need to be pretty, useful, or shown to anyone. The whole point is to stop trying to understand what you feel and just release it. Painting without a goal is a way of telling your soul, you don't have to explain anything. I'm just here to listen. Here's another idea to help you master your energy. Plant something. A cactus, an herb, a flower. It doesn't matter what. It matters what it means, because when you plant, you're saying without words, I believe something can grow here. And that, my friend, is a quiet declaration of faith in your future. Water it calmly. Care for it without obsessing. Let it remind you of something important, that even on dry days, something silent is still growing inside you. And that energy doesn't always arrive like lightning. Sometimes it sprouts like a root. And finally, I dare you to do something harder. Take a real digital break. Not while you're asleep, not while you're working. 1 hour a week, with yourself. No screens, no stimulation, just you, your body, and silence. Uncomfortable? At first, yes, but right there in that emptiness is where your real energy starts to grow. Remember this: you can't master your energy if you don't have a place to return to when everything else spills over. So tell me, do you have your refuge? That space where the noise doesn't reach and you can simply exist? Let us know in the comments what it looks like, or how you'd like to build it. Because if you don't have it yet, it's time to create one, and make it sacred enough that nothing and no one can enter without your permission. 10. The power of the conscious pause. When was the last time you stopped to take a deep breath and just be present? I'm not talking about the automatic breaths you take while replying to texts or walking down the street without even noticing. I mean a real pause, the kind that snaps you out of autopilot and brings you right back into this exact moment. Most people go through life as if their breath is running in the background, until the body starts to scream. Anxiety, fatigue, irritability, and you think it's stress? But no, my friend, many times it's just one thing: a lack of pause. Marcus Aurelius knew this well. He said perfect tranquility comes from having your mind in good order, in your own kingdom. And that inner kingdom isn't conquered by moving faster. It's conquered by learning when to stop. Because the mind needs space, and if you don't give it space, it will take it anyway, through burnout, mental blocks, or that numbness that creeps in when you're doing a lot, but feeling nothing. The pause is not weakness, it's strategy. It's the moment you come back to yourself and recalibrate. Did you know that simply breathing can completely change your mental and physical state? It's not just talk. It's backed by people like Sol de la Torre, known as Sol Tawanda, an expert in functional breathing who's lived it firsthand. And no, this isn't about meditating with incense. It's about learning how to breathe properly, so your mind and body stop living in survival mode. Sol explains that when you breathe through your mouth all day, shallow and unconsciously, you're constantly sending your brain a warning signal, like something bad is about to happen. And when you live with that internal alarm always on, everything exhausts you. You wake up tired. Every little argument overwhelms you. You can't even focus. Your energy just slips away, and you don't even see it going. So, if you really want to master your energy, you need to learn how to breathe. You're probably asking, okay, but how? It's easier than you think. First, practice conscious breathing. Find a quiet spot. Close your eyes. Take 5 deep breaths, inhaling for 4 counts, exhaling for 6. You don't need to meditate. You don't need incense. Just breathe with intention. Do it like each exhale is releasing the noise of the world. Next, build in active pauses throughout your day. If you're working and feel like you're about to crash, don't go straight to your phone. Get up, stretch, roll your neck, open a window, look at the sky if you can, and breathe, like you just practiced. And at the end of the day, before bed, try something hardly anyone does. Reflect. No grand speeches, no perfect quotes. Just remember one good thing from your day. Whisper a thank you. Remind yourself that you did the best you could, and that stopping is part of moving forward. Because here's the truth. You can't master your energy if you don't know when to stop running. The pause is not giving up. It's preparing to keep going, with more strength, more focus, and more presence. So tell me, when are you going to give yourself the breath you so desperately need? 11. Don't let yourself be swept away by the current. Imagine you're a fish. You're in a river with a strong current. And while the other fish swim with purpose toward their goals, you're just floating. Not because you want to, but because you're exhausted. Every decision you don't make, the river makes for you. Every yes you say when you wanted to say no, every plan you attend out of obligation, every conversation you entertain out of fear of what others might think. It's one more stroke away from your own direction. And at the end of the day, you wonder why you feel drained. The answer's simple. because you're living by other people's expectations, not your own needs. Marcus Aurelius said it best. Don't waste time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. And being a good person isn't about pleasing everyone or shrinking yourself to fit in. It's about knowing who you are and defending that silently. A Stoic doesn't just go with the flow. They observe, reflect, and choose. Because drifting aimlessly is exhausting too. But swimming toward your truth, that fuels you. You've probably been there. You're at a get-together with friends. You've had a headache all day. Your body's begging for rest. But you went anyway because you already said yes. And just when you're about to leave, someone goes, "Come on, stay a little longer. Let's order another drink. Relax, man." And you know alcohol doesn't sit well with you. You've got a busy day tomorrow. You're not even enjoying it that much. But there you are. Fake smile on your face, drink in hand. In your head, you're screaming, "No, I really don't want to." But what you say is, "Sure, okay." Because you're afraid of being that person, the boring one, the buzzkill, the one who ruins the vibe. So you stay, you force it, you stretch out something that doesn't serve you. And the next day, you're not just tired. You're angry at yourself. Because once again, you chose everyone else's moment over your own peace. Because you knew you didn't want to. And still, you gave in. How much energy are you losing just because you're afraid to make others uncomfortable? Let me tell you something. You're not alone. Social psychologist Vanessa Bones, author of You Have More Influence Than You Think, found in her research that people massively underestimate how hard it is for others to say no. In other words, we cave to social pressure way more than we realize. The result? Silent burnout. No, you're not exhausted from doing too much. You're exhausted from doing too many things you didn't want to do. So, my friend, if it feels like you're not steering your life but just surviving it, here are a few things you can start doing today. First, dare to set boundaries. No need to yell or over-explain. Just learn to say things like, "I need to rest today. Let's save that for another time." Or even a simple, "No, thank you." That's enough. Second, focus on what truly matters. Not everything that's urgent is important. At the end of your day, ask yourself, did this bring me closer or further from what I truly value? Third, take real pauses. Not the kind where you scroll through social media nonstop. Pauses to be with yourself, to hear what you need. Read slowly. Walk with no destination. Be alone in the silence without the noise. Remember this, protecting your energy doesn't mean rejecting others. It means not rejecting yourself. Because if you don't decide where you're going, someone else will. And now listen closely, because what's coming next might seem simple, but it's the one thing that makes all the difference. If you feel like you're already doing a lot to protect your energy and you're still ending up exhausted, maybe the only thing you're missing is this. This final rule is what ties it all together, what grounds everything you've learned, what transforms this from a list of attempts into a way of life. Let's go for it. 12. Master your inner dialogue. There's a voice that follows you all day. You hear it when you look in the mirror, when you make a mistake, when you compare yourself. That voice, sometimes it feels like your friend, but it's often your biggest saboteur. Not because it shouts, but because it whispers. And it does it with words that cut deep without you even noticing. Have you ever really listened to what you tell yourself when you mess up? When you fall short? When you're at your limit? If that voice were another person, you probably wouldn't even last one coffee with them. But because it's inside, you let it live there, unchecked. Diego Dreyfus says it without sugarcoating. Your worst enemy isn't out there. It's that little voice that keeps saying you can't, that you're not enough, that now's not the time. And as long as you listen to it, you'll keep acting like someone who doesn't deserve their own dreams. And he's right, because no one has worn you down more than you, talking to yourself like your own worst critic. But listen, my friend, this isn't about giving yourself sweet talk. No, this is about truth, about speaking to yourself like a tough coach who wants to see you win. Like Epictetus used to, Do not seek to have events happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go well. That's the voice you need to grow inside you. A voice that doesn't whine, doesn't shame, doesn't label you a failure. A voice that reminds you you've got this, and more. Picture this. You wake up, look in the mirror and think, another day. Ugh, I won't get it all done. I look awful. And of course you leave the house with your soul already wrinkled. Then you wonder why you're so tired. But it's not your body, it's your dialogue. The first thing you heard today wasn't your alarm. It was a sentence. And if it happens once, okay. But if it becomes a routine, your daily soundtrack, then you're not getting up each morning. You're crashing into the day. So here's the real challenge. Rewrite that voice. When you mess up, don't say, I'm a disaster. Say, I'm learning. When you doubt yourself, don't say, I probably can't. Say, I'll try and see what I'm capable of. When something hurts, don't say, this always happens to me. Say, this too will pass, and I'll still be standing. At first, it'll feel strange, maybe even fake. That's normal. But little by little, if you do it every day, if you listen to yourself with respect, your energy will stop fighting you and start lifting you. And it's okay if some days are hard, no one's perfect. Not even Epictetus when he tripped over his sandals. But at the very least, don't insult yourself. Don't drag yourself down. The world's loud enough already. Your mind doesn't need to be another enemy. On those days when everything feels heavy, ask yourself, how would Marcus Aurelius speak to himself in this moment? He'd probably say something like, today was hard, but I've faced worse, and I'm still here. Boom. Energy restored. Dignity activated. Because in the end, no word is more powerful than the one you say to yourself in silence. So tell me, which voice do you want by your side each day? The one that pushes you forward, or the one that pulls you down? You decide. Because if you don't master your inner dialogue, your energy will never fully be yours. Protecting your energy isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. In a world that tries to drain you at every turn, being intentional about how you use your strength is the greatest act of personal power. Every boundary you set, every thought you choose, every pause you honor is a statement. I won't let the world put out my fire. And my friend, if you've made it this far, it means you've already started to protect it. Write it in the comments as your Stoic commitment. I protect my energy like the treasure it is. That way, I'll know who the true Stoic warriors are who made it to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a like so you don't miss out on what's coming next. I also invite you to check out our playlist, which you'll see on the screen. It's packed with ideas, stories, and advice to help you navigate life with more wisdom and confidence. Click it, and let's keep moving forward together. Until next time, take care and keep embracing your inner Stoic.